Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Hi5 series from the DH podcast. My name is Nick. As always, you can find our newest episodes Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you find podcasts. We are on Twitter, Instagram at DH_podcast. And for those of you that haven't joined us for one of these yet, first off, thank you. But second off, if you haven't joined us for one of these yet, what we like to do is we like to not necessarily take the top 5 most important things that are going on. I mean, you can scroll the bottom page of ESPN. You can scroll any social media feed and find those. But we like to take some of the more important ones, some of the ones that aren't getting enough talk about, take a little spin on them, and we can actually use this platform to elaborate a little bit that we may not have had the opportunity to do before. So first off, what I'm going to talk about is today is September 11th, and we'll be publishing this. It'll be out by 10:30. And the first thing I want to mention is the man in the red bandana, Welles Crowther. And what he is attributed with saving at least 12 people on September 11th by continuing to run back into buildings to administer aid to help people out. Now, how does this connect to the sports world whatsoever? Well, Welles was a Boston College lacrosse player, and he was known around campus and by the people that he knew as the man in the red bandana, because that's what he always wore. And so when people were coming out of surgery and they were telling their stories in the hospital, few people were able to connect by a common theme. The person that saved them was in a red bandana, or people were told to go down the stairs if you could walk, administer aid if you can help out, bringing people downstairs. That's exactly what Welles did. So today is a time of just solemn remembering for people like Welles. They gave the ultimate sacrifice. They were readily aware that they were walking into a towering inferno and what could come of it. So today is a day of remembrance. Today is a solemn day, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a sad day. We can celebrate the people that gave everything to save others. Even when they had so much life ahead of them. And I think a college student like Welles is a perfect example of somebody that has their entire life ahead of them, but chooses to focus on one moment and focus on other people instead of himself. Number 2, Dak is a leader. Whether you like him as a quarterback, whether you like the Cowboys, that you have to be able to respect Dak for being able to open up about his mental health issues. It's simple and plain. That he was able to tell people that he had depression, that he had anxiety, especially after his brother had committed suicide. And when you look at most of the media world, I'll go ahead and just round them up all in that. Most of the media world took it incredibly well. Took it incredibly well. We are celebrating somebody that asked for help. He went out. He asked for help. He got help. He is continuing to receive help. That is an incredibly traumatic experience. And so to be able to ask for something like that is something that it's very difficult for people to do, let alone somebody on the biggest stage. This is a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. And so I think a lot of people put it really well, and I think that it's great to reiterate here before I take this next twist that when it comes to especially younger kids in high school and in college, and they look up to people like Dak Prescott, that they can say to themselves, wow, okay, this guy's like me. He and I are thinking the same. And so I want to be able to ask for help like he did, because it's no longer a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength to be able to take stock of yourself and say, all right, you know what? This isn't necessarily normal. Maybe I need some help. I'm not saying that anybody needs to be diagnosed with anything. I'm not saying that we have to call it anything, but just, just somebody needs help. Maybe that's talking to a friend, or maybe it is going to talking to a therapist. I mean, you don't have to have a certain severity of a situation to ask for help. And I think the professional athletes like Kevin Love have shown that too. And Dak is another perfect example. And I know that the media world is trashing Skip. I get it. I have no idea what he's going to say on TV later on this morning. Frankly, I don't care. That was one person that said something bad. I want to focus on all of the good things and the support that he got. He got it from teammates. He got it from thousands and thousands of fans. Got it from all of the media except for one person. So, and this is just changing the narrative that, you know what, maybe somebody isn't diagnosed with depression, but they still want to talk to somebody. Of course, you should be doing that. You should be able to do that. We should be able to have a normal conversation, whether it's with friends, whether it's with a therapist, a psychologist, whoever you want to talk to. I mean, it's as simple as that. And I think that Dak showed us that we can have that as well. Number 3, we had the NFL back. And it felt damn good to have it back. It still feels weird when there's, people scattered in and around the stands because you're not allowed to have full capacity. So to me, that was still a very odd part to this scenario. But when you're really thinking about it, I'm just grateful that I get football back. I get to sit down on Sunday and I get to go through a whole slate of games. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on number 5. So that's one thing I'm extremely happy about. Now, we'd seen a really kind of defensive first half. Before we get anywhere, now that I just thought of it, Andy Reid using the face shield instead of a face mask is perfect. I think it fits him perfectly because it's so memeable when he just gets fogged up from his walrus mustache that it's amazing. So, if you didn't see that, it's extremely easy to find out there. You can just Google Andy Reid face shield, and 10 billion pictures that people took will pop up from last night. We saw a 7-7 game going into the second half, and then, in the words of Vince Young, I take it easy in the first half, and the second half, go the fuck off. And that's his words, not mine. That's exactly what Mahomes did, too. He took that one to heart. Because in the second half, Mahomes broke open the doors, got 3 touchdowns, and it's good to see the best is still the best. Because when you think about it, you mean like, Super Bowl hangover, things like that, whatever, was not there for the Chiefs. They needed, well, frankly, both teams actually needed one half because you didn't have a preseason. So this was full contact without preseason. So they snapped into it within a half. It took them one half to get acclimated to each other. And I think that we'll still continue to see that for about 3 weeks, for the first 3 weeks of the season, because these guys are now going to take time to get acclimated to one another, whereas typically you would have already had just the acclimation to action in general in the preseason. So that's one thing that it'll be interesting to see if are we going to see more defensive battles like that 7-7 first half, or are we going to see everything like the second half to where it's an absolute offensive blowout? And to me, I think that both the Texans defense and the Chiefs defense were too good to let an offensive blowout happen. I think that'll be game by game. I could see that. You got Cowboys-Rams. I could see that happening, just an absolute blowout, like a 41-35 sort of deal. So who knows? That's available to us, and I'll wait for number 5 on that one too. Number 4. Oh man, I love this. This one brings me, and if you know me, this one brings me great joy. Pablo Sandoval, a.k.a. Panda Bear, a.k.a. your favorite fatty, a.k.a. breaking a belt opening day because he decided that he wasn't going to weight train in the offseason, a.k.a. in the words of Stephen A. Smith, fat, sloggly, Jabba the Hutt looking ass. That was Stephen A. talking about Jamarcus Russell. I'm flipping it. We're talking about Pablo on this one. You can't, and ESPN called him a fan favorite. I don't understand how he can be called a fan favorite. When he left the Giants to come to the Red Sox for a lot of money, he trashed the entire Giants organization, saying, you know what, they weren't giving me any freedom, that these aren't my people, just really dragging them through the dirt. Dragging them. And then when he realized he was not going to have any success whatsoever in Boston because he wasn't training, he didn't care, and he just stopped everything. An extremely mediocre player at best his entire time in Boston. That somehow the Giants organization welcomed him back with open arms. And maybe it was because, hey, you know what? Maybe we'll get the Panda Bear of 2012 or the Panda Bear of 2014. Or, you know, some of this glimpse where we won 3 World Series in 5 years. Maybe we can get a glimpse somewhere. Well, let me tell you what you didn't get. You didn't get a glimpse. So I'm happy that the Giants finally came to their senses and stopped this nonsense, because it was crazy to think that this would actually work out. It would not. It will not. And I don't know if we'll ever see him be picked up. I know that the Red Sox had a weight clause. I think that the Giants actually may have had one too. I can't remember, but he will need to have one every last single team he goes to. And that can't feel good, but he did it to himself. You can't blame a team for trying to protect themselves. Investing in a player is investing in an asset. They're believing in you and your skills to help produce, to make every other player and the team, the collective as a whole, better. They're expecting you to bring more wins, to bring more runs, to be able to have a chance at postseason glory again. So, Panda Bear's out. I am happy. Keep an eye out. I mean, he may just sprout up again somewhere. I don't even know if he'd be a good coach, because he clearly doesn't have any self-control. So I don't know. I don't know what people want. I don't know what he wants now. Maybe now he's been cut, he's just like, you know what? I've been getting paid for over a decade. I've been in this league. I've been getting paid. So maybe I'm out. 10 years is an incredible career. Hall of Fame? No. Now, people down the road, time always flips and looks fondly. So you may have people that are like, well, he won rings. He won a bunch of rings with the Giants. We'll see when we get there. I hope we don't get there. We probably will, though. Number 5, as always, if you're here on a Friday listening to the Hi5, that you know exactly what Friday is. And Friday is watch some damn sports. Take some time. Take a couple hours to yourself. You deserve it. Watch some sports. I mean, just if, for example, tonight we have Celtics Game 7, and we have the Clippers who can close the door on the Nuggets. They're up 3-1. And then on Saturday, we have the Lakers who can close the door on the Rockets. They're up 3-1. It's by the end of tomorrow, there's a 90% chance that we'll have a lock for both Eastern Conference Final, Western Conference Final. I mean, by the end of the day, we'll have a lock for the Eastern. Miami has just been waiting. Jimmy Butler has just been hanging out, sipping pina coladas down there, waiting for either the Bucks or no. Oh, that one hurt. Sorry, Milwaukee fans. For either the Raptors or the Celtics, whoever wins tonight. Simple as that. On Sunday, NFL, Week 1. Some big things to think about. Buccaneers, Saints, Cardinals, 49ers, Ravens, Browns. These are going to be high-intensity games. Keep your eye out for them. Those are going to be some fan favorites in regards to whether they're rivalries or whether they're just incredible offenses or whether they have historical value. Keep an eye on. I think that everybody's going to be tuning in for Terrific Tom's premiere in the pirate ship. I think that's it for me. I haven't got anything else. I greatly appreciate you all for taking the time to listen, to watch, whether it's here on YouTube, whether it's out on Spotify, iTunes. I greatly appreciate it. We've always got new episodes that are ready for you. So feel free to go and find us over there. My name's Nick. This has been another edition of the Hi5 series for the DH podcast for September 11th, 2020. Have a good weekend, everybody. We're out.